This is going to be your guide to using Hisuian Typhlosion in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, on the surface, this Pokemon looks terrible. However, I think I stumbled into some, surprising ideas with this Pokemon, and that is what we're going to be breaking down. So if you enjoy the video, if it helps out in any way, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends, and please comment your thoughts down below. Now, I will say, Infernal Parade is just trash. We got a 30% chance to burn, double power if target is already status. Like, a 30% chance to get a 120 base power move out of this when you don't really have that great of durability, and Eruption is just more damage at full. What's the point here? Like, how do you make this work? I don't see anything in doubles. Hex tech hasn't really been that big when it comes to Pokemon anyway, so it's like, this is its own baked-in Hex that also does less damage, so, like, Toxic Spikes, and then you bring this in and you one-shot your opponent's team with it. No, that doesn't work! It just doesn't happen, and even then, Toxic Spikes is garbage, and with a Pokemon like Lamora that gets it for free, it still has 0 value. So, you don't get into a position where you set this up. There's not like a lot of reliable thunder-waving, phasing Pokemon to kind of spread that through. I don't see why Infernal Parade actually, is a thing. And then when you look at the stats, is this downgraded Typhlosion because it loses a speed tier on the 95 compared to 100? And then you get 10 special attack out of it, but that's also not a lot. We get 11 total stat points from that. Is that damage? It's a 7% damage increase, but does it matter? Actually, kinda. So that's where we get into the most informative, which also makes it the most, boring part of the video to people, because people, they don't stick around for the damage calculations. They click on, they see either, an out-of-context moveset or something that isn't fully fleshed out, and then they just go, oh, that's it, that's how this Pokemon works. Or they get their confirmation bias or something. But, this is where, things get weird. So, Iron Bundle, common Pokemon, not, the greatest damage analog, because this is well under average for special durability, but you can actually outspeed it on a Choice Scarf, and you can go Modest Nature, so it's you're getting that little bit of extra damage, then you're getting that little bit of extra damage a bit more, and then you have Eruption for, crazy damage, and you one-shot an Iron Bundle. Now, I didn't really talk too much about Choice Scarf Typhlosion in my just regular Typhlosion moveset guide when it came out after the Terra raids, but, maybe that's viable. However, it opens up some, really weird discussions about Pokemon. That's what Generation 9 has done. Generation 9 has been so brutal, so ugly as a metagame, and even, going into late Generation 8. It's, making me rethink my entire competitive thought and theory about all of competitive Pokemon, going back to, even Generation 4 or something. Because why didn't Typhlosion exist, even though you could just, Scarf Eruption everything down? But no one really, even with Stealth Rocks being somewhat more common back then, or, more popular, even though it's still really trash and no one should have ever played it ever, it seems. You set up some Stealth Rocks damage, and then, Scarf 100 speed just kind of catches everything. And even with, proper 2-hit KOing setups, how come people didn't build a team around Typhlosion to where, Typhlosion comes in, plays hit and run on, low cleanup sweeping Pokemon, and then, you just lose the game when it lands? That never happened to me. I never came up with the thought to use it, and it seems viable in Generation 9 in some situations to build around. But in a more, power creep game, why wasn't this happening in other generations? Couldn't tell you. Some weird stuff. But then, yeah, if you're just running this where you're you go Choice Scarf, now we also have, Terra shenanigans into damage. This looks incorrect. Level 50, level 50, we have all that. The numbers didn't feel that way when I was going into regular Typhlosion, so, yeah, apparently that 10 special attack kind of matters. The 95 speed actually doesn't matter. That's the surprising thing. You look at this and you go, it lost 5 speed. It drops tiers. It's just worthless now. No, you actually still have the same Modest Safety, which kind of just keeps, snowballing and scaling damage in a weird kind of way. Because we outspeed Iron Bundle, which is common, and we catch everything but Electrode. Electrode isn't even played, but I'm saying, 150 speed. Nothing really has more than 150 speed, so we can go under that. It's okay, we got Dragapult. We outspeed Dragapult on Modest 95 Scarf. Something feels bugged about that and wrong, but no, that's just speed tiers. And then other Pokemon, gotta look into those matchups, kind of see where it goes. So Jolteon. Drop this down to level 50, and that's KO with Terrifier. It's KO without. And that's kind of the weird thing, because this is why I don't consider Scarf Typhlosion to be real, and also why it didn't really exist in previous generations, because, like, yeah, back in Generation 4-5, Jolteon was a premier sweeper. But then you cut down to 109 special attack, you actually, like, lose the reliability there. Now, Jolteon will have Focus Sash, and every Focus Sash Pokemon will kind of screw you over. Like, Choice Specs Jolteon seems to be more of a thing. So these, like, evolutions inside of how Pokemon are played, kind of weird, and that is the diff. 7% damage, and especially more when you get into Terrifier, like, oh, we actually just get into a comfy, like, KO range on a average, slightly above average, specially bulky Pokemon. And then just kind of keeps coming together, and then you Terrifier on a Scarf Eruption. Why was that never viable before, but it's suddenly viable on Hisuian Typhlosion? We gotta check some other Pokemon with this. Alright, what about the Fluttermane? Interesting. Like, that's above average special defense once you calculate it into the hit points and stuff. Baxcalibur. Interesting thing about Baxcalibur, people think that its passive makes it immune to fire. No, it's vulnerable. It's a KO. And if this was regular Typhlosion, it's actually still a KO. Scarf Typhlosion viable, and I kind of overlooked it because it's been so historically trash. Like, if it's worse in less power crept generations, how does it feel more viable now? I mean, like, I understand meta change and stuff, but there's so much power creep, there's so much, like, better analog Pokemon, even, like, comparing it to Chi-Yu or something, but the Eruption offsets the Chi-Yu passive? Where are we? What is happening? What are we doing? I guess we're just running Scarf Hisuian Typhlosion. Like, the idea initially was Specs, and you just wall break with it on more damage, but Typhlosion beats that, because you want to get, like, the Flash Power Typhlosion to then scale way more damage, and then you Terrify Eruption on Choice Specs Typhlosion that gets, like, slightly better modest speed tiers. Nah, turns out you lose speed, gain some damage, and then you turn this thing into the same idea on Scarf Eruption. And because Terrasalization's like a new mechanic that gives you that extra 30% damage that Giga super mattered, because that's Eruption. If you take a hit and your opponent doesn't get KO'd, you lose all your damage. But now if you secure that KO, that's huge. And you don't even have an ability on Hisuian Typhlosion. Frisk actually might be good though. Like, that's the initial thought. The initial thought is like trash, trash, trash. But Frisk could give you like the incredible valuable information that people don't really use it to scout that much. If you go into a Paradox Pokemon that shows their booster energy, then it kind of gives it away. And then like you're losing Frisk, like, cause like, oh, Frisk tells me the booster energy they already consumed pretty much. Some Pokemon already like Telegraph, but like if you see like, oh, that's where their Choice Scarf is, oh, that's where their Choice Band is, oh, that's where their Focus Sash is, it now just like tells the rest of the team. It kind of sets up how you're going to play through the Typhlosion as a win condition, especially if you're investing Terrifier into it. And like, if you use this as the right kind of utility, it actually just has value. Now, Blaze is still an option because, like, let's say your Eruption, you don't get the KO, they hit you, it's super bad, and then like you're just kind of sitting on no health, but you're still alive, so you can Scarf in. That's where the Blast Burn happens. Blast Burn Blaze, that's the opponent's last Pokemon, especially in 3v3, where like that can just be the finishing blow. Maybe even KO resisted Pokemon with like Blast Burn, Blaze, Terrifier, Stab 119 special attack. Hell yeah, that's super great. So maybe that just wins, and then this is like your good out, especially on Blaze, but it's also good out even with Frisk. Now, our survivability is below average, 73, 78, a lot of neutral hits with like 100 base power or more, especially Terrasalization, just KO us and there's nothing that can be done. Like, this is a sweeper's dream. A sweeper's dream is they outspeed us, hit us with their strong move, and we can't survive. Like that, it's gone. So we keep on top of that with Choice Scarf. We hit the frail ones with the Eruption and just find it. Terrifier kind of tips some of the interesting damage numbers. Infernal Parade is trash, but like the Stab Shadow Ball like kind of doesn't do it. And that's also where you can kind of see a lot of this drop off. Like, okay, water type Pokemon, anything that resists the fire, it's over. And there's a good amount of things that resist the fire. Assault Vest non-super is going to be pretty rough, which also reminds me of a damage calculation. Bro, these damage calculations, like, What did I put in wrong? Assault Vest, max hit points, King Gambit dies to the Eruption. I know, like, the numbers make sense, but I've never seen... This is even the wrong Typhlosion. I've never seen the damage scale like this, and Bulk King Gambit survives everything. I don't know. Like, Terra Eruption, that's faster than everything, just that good on 119 special attack Modest. And we know this because 130 special attack Glamora with specs is just nasty, and it doesn't scale into the 150 base power. Or use its terrestrialization to, like, double down on stab. Oh, it's just strong, especially if you build around it and dedicate it, and that doesn't seem like what this Pokemon is worth. Wow. You try to find words when this happens.